this will definitely outpower this and outclass it almost in every way. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I want to get into this right here, the V100 from Godox. So this flash is one that they sent over to us recently. As you can see by the end right there, this is a Nikon mount. This is something that they sent to us. They didn't have a Sony one for testing, so they sent us the Nikon one, but I wanted to test it out regardless. The reason that I was okay with it is because, well, A, I have a ton of flashes already, so I don't necessarily need it. It's more for content for you guys to kind of get some insight with these flashes. So the V100, as the name implies, is a 100-watt flash. It's very powerful. The recycling time is very quick. It's 1.7 seconds at full power. And I just so happen to have it right here. So let's go ahead and test it out. As you guys are seeing, it is a touchscreen. So when you turn it on, you just have to rotate the wheel or rotate it on the screen and it turns right on. It's a very pretty and very large touchscreen. So definitely the newer generation of the Godox flashes. It's a round head. And as I said, recycling time extremely quick. I'm gonna put it at full power. And you know what? I'm going to turn on the beep so you guys can hear it. Usually I turn that off because I don't like it going off in the middle of like ceremonies or receptions and distracting people. But here, go ahead and listen. There we go. So it's a pretty quick recycling time. That's at full power on a 100-watt flash. Typically, you know, if I'm shooting with this in a reception, I'll be like a 1/16 or something like that. So go ahead and listen to 1/16. It's practically immediate. I mean, if you're at 1/256, you can do bursts no problem. Even this one at 1/4, it's pretty much immediate. Very powerful flash, very quick recycling time. It's charged via USB-C, so you see it right there on the battery. You can leave it attached and be charging it. Let me see, because there's a question that you guys asked about the AD100. I'm gonna plug it in to the battery, and I'm gonna see if it fires while it's being charged. So let's see. It seems like it is. So that works. Let me also do it because I also like to experiment different scenarios. I'm going to use the IT32 as a remote. I'm going to fire it with this one while it's plugged in. Let's see. Cool. So yeah, even if it's plugged into the wall or plugged into the USB-C, you can still fire it. So for a lot of you studio photographers who ask whether it works while it's plugged in, so you don't run out of battery, it will work. And from what I saw, also the recycling time is quicker when it's plugged in. Let me do that actually. So plugged in, I see the light, I'm gonna hit it full power. It seems about the same. Allegedly, it said that it would be quicker, but to me, seems about the same. So maybe not everything that you read on the internet is true. Who would have thought? It's still very quick, no complaints. We used it on a shoot. I'm showing you guys some of the photos right now that we used this V100 inside a softbox. So we were really pushing it to its limits because it was still pretty bright out. And it kept up the entire time. It has all the functions you would expect from a high-end flash. So it has a high-speed sync. It has a modeling lamp, which is on top, which I prefer because I know some flashes have it in the front, which doesn't really make sense because if I have it like this inside of a softbox or if I have it like that, I want to see where the light is hitting from here. It doesn't really work if it's coming from the front. Now, speaking of that, you can adjust how powerful you want the modeling lamp. So you can kind of see it there. It's pretty bright, so it'll work in a lot of situations where you need that lamp in order to focus. And of course, like I said, like a lot of these flashes, it has high-speed sync. It works with high-speed sync. If you have a remote and you can just turn it on, or you can use it on camera with high-speed sync. It has TTL, of course, but I never use TTL. We always use manual. It's personal preference. You can do whatever you want, but personally, I never use TTL. We just always shoot it in manual for consistency and quicker recycling time. This is the battery right here. It gives you about 400 full power flashes, which is plenty. And like I said, USB-C. So for us, I've definitely done this. I go, okay, is it fully charged? I can't remember because maybe I used a different flash another time. I'll charge this in the car on the way and it charges pretty quickly. So last time when I was on the way down to shoot in Laguna, I charged this thing on the way. So I knew by the time I got there, it gave me the green light. It said it was full, ready to go. It also has the SubFlash, this little guy, which if you guys follow the channel, this is a little tiny light that goes in the front of the flash and it adds a little kick forward. So instead of, let's say you're bouncing, instead of just bouncing, you can throw a little light forward. Some photographers I've seen don't like that because it feels too on-camera flash. I actually do like it because I feel like it throws just a little light forward, so I don't have to kill it so much with this flash. So I can be bouncing with this and then throwing just a little bit of light to fill in the front. So I do like it. I like that little feature, and I like that they included it because it came from the V1. I believe that's the first one that was done on the V1 Pro. This is the V100, so it's obviously the updated version of that flash. Now, for comparison, as far as size, because you can see it's not the smallest flash. Not huge, not obnoxious, but it's not the smallest flash. This is the V480, so you can see it is significantly bigger than the 480. And this is it next to the V1 Mid. Obviously, I have the MagMod attachment on the V1 Mid, but this is what you're looking at as far as size. It's definitely bigger, but you're getting a lot of power out of it. The recycling time is quicker. Just like the V1 Mid, it also has a round head. And because of that, you're able to use the AKR1 magnetic kit from Godox, which is a lot cheaper than using the MagMod equipment. Now, you guys, if you follow the channel, you've seen me talk about this. The accuracy and how dialed in everything is on this versus the MagMod equipment is not on par. This is still not as good, in my opinion, as the MagMod equipment. The grid doesn't really channel the light as much as I would want it. I think it still spills more than I want. And then the CTO, I noticed that it wasn't quite a full CTO even, and I'm showing you guys, even when you put the least translucent one on. So what I ended up doing as a fix is I put the most translucent and the least translucent one, and I stack them, which at least is nice that it allows you to stack them. And as you guys are seeing the photo right now, it ends up working for the situations that we use that type of technique, whether we're shifting the background to a blue color like we're doing right now. What you guys are seeing is this is a CTO light that's hitting me, but back here it's daylight. So when I set the white balance on this camera, it's more properly color corrected in the front, but the background goes to blue because that is daylight back there. So that's essentially what we do with this, and we have a few videos talking about that. So that's what I ended up doing, is I ended up just stacking it, and it seems to work out pretty well. I think I shot it at like 3100 Kelvin, and they were color corrected, and the background was blue, which is exactly what I wanted, and it worked only because I stacked them. Even though you would think the least translucent one would be a full CTO, and then the other ones would be a quarter, an eighth, whatever. It seems like it's not as dialed in, but it works, and if you're on a budget, that is something that definitely works. I definitely use this kit. I'm not ragging on it at all. You just have to understand its limitations. Now, speaking on price, that's one thing that can be a little bit of an Achilles heel on this flash, because we are talking about over $300 for a speed light. And at that point, it does beg the question, would you get this over, say, an 8200? Now, the 8200 is not an on-camera flash. It's not something that you can put on camera, so it's not completely apples to apples. However, if you're using it as an off-camera flash, then you're kind of comparing the two if you're only using them as off-camera flash. And at that point, I would go with the 8200 because it's twice as powerful and it's about the same size. But if you are shooting events where you need a lot of flash, where you need, and you're gonna be bouncing it, or you're gonna be going straight on with an on-camera flash, and you need that recycling time, you need that power, you're gonna be shooting in harsh lighting situations, this is an amazing option. I think it's extremely well built. I think that it will probably last a really long time. It's a round head, so it allegedly is a little bit softer than, you know, the old Fresnel heads. At the end of the day, like, the size of the flash is still, or the size of the light still determines how soft something is going to be, but I can see a slight difference. I would recommend this flash if you're a little bit more seasoned, if you have other flashes that are great already in your kit and you want something that's powerful that you can bring out, you can use on camera, you can use off camera in very challenging situations. As a beginner, I probably wouldn't go with this. As a beginner, this right here is my number one pick. The V1 Mid is an exceptionally well-designed, well-priced flash, has a lot of power, but you have to understand when and where you're going to use it. This will definitely outpower this and outclass it almost in every way, but we're talking about almost twice the price. So it's up to you whether you think it's worth it to have that additional power from this versus something like this. If someone's asking me, they're starting out with photography, go with this. If you have a bunch of toys, you understand that you need more power and you have a little bit more of a budget, go with this one. This is a great, great option. This is an amazing flash. So there's no wrong or right, to be quite honest. Again, it's opportunity cost. It's how much do you want to spend for the amount of power that you're going to get. The V100 is a great flash. We got some really great images with it, and I'll probably post another, how we shot it type video with this flash. But I wanted to give you guys my first initial thoughts after using it on 2 shoots. We used it at a wedding, at the reception, and then we used it on a proposal. And yeah, it performed great. Now, it didn't overheat a single time. That's one thing that I'm always very big on, is if we're pushing this thing to its limits, does it keep up? The answer is yes. It didn't overheat a single time, and we were pushing this thing pretty hard. Anyway, let me know what questions you guys have on the V100. I'll make another video, I'm sure, but I like posting these videos so I can get a little bit of your feedback, some of your questions, and then I can make videos based on that later on. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and thank you to everyone that subscribed. I really genuinely appreciate that because I never plan on not posting again. We're going to keep this train going. Even Tank came over here to wish you guys a nice, healthy, happy, amazing weekend. All right, guys. Thank you for watching.